Well, Walker, Sally, welcome back. My gosh. It's been a wild couple weeks for you, I guess, huh?
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Tell us about what the last month has looked like from a schedule standpoint.
The last month, I'll start, we had a pre-World Cup training camp in Frisco. I left on October 25th. Was there for 2 weeks, came back for like 2 days, and I think I left November 6th, I think, for Qatar. And so then I just got back like December 5th or 6th, so pretty long trip. Sal got to come out for a little bit, which was fun. But yeah, a lot of time away.
How long did you spend in Qatar?
I went for 8 or 9 days. I think it was 9, but really 8 with the time change.
Are you guys planning on going back anytime soon?
No.
I don't think I'll ever be in
think
Qatar.
that was it. I think that was it for me. But it was a great experience. They did a really good job, honestly.
Did you see the sights? Like,
I did a little bit. They planned, so we were part of a family program, and
Okay.
so it was almost like we were on a school trip. They scheduled like our buses to and from all the games and every activity. We got a schedule about the next day, the night before, every day. And so you could do what of that you wanted. And so one of the things we got to do was a desert excursion.
whoa.
And that was super fun. So that felt very authentic. I'm not sure. It's probably extremely touristy and not authentic, but it felt cool. We got to ride camels, stargaze.
You saw Saturn.
I
the
saw
telescope.
Saturn and Jupiter.
What?
I have videos. I'll have to show you guys. It was insane. It looked fake. I thought they put a fake picture of Saturn on the telescope, but because you could see the ring
What?
so
gosh.
clearly, and it was real.
You didn't get to do it.
I didn't get to go. I was
No.
kind of locked away in a bubble.
Yeah, Walker couldn't leave his hotel. And then the other thing we got to do is my brother works for the U.S. Embassy, and we got connected with a guy in Doha, and he took us on his boat, did a little boat tour.
Holy
And
smokes.
so we got to see Doha from the water, and that was amazing.
Wow.
But those were probably the 2 only major.
Yeah, we did like a family
Tourist
Thanksgiving
activities.
thing, but that was just at the hotel.
Yeah, they did sweet family things, but not really like sightseeing. There's not
Oh,
a lot of
we went
sights
to the
see.
souk. So it's like the local
Oh,
market.
I did go to the
Oh,
souk.
You can I brought back Tucker a little trinket, a little elephant.
Oh,
He's
man.
probably not going to care about it, but
Yeah,
It's a memory.
that was cool. The market was about the only thing, but that's because everything was built for the World Cup. There was nothing there when they got the bid.
Wow.
So I think that's why.
I'm
there's
curious
not
if they're
really
going to
much-
bid for the Olympics based off of everything they built for the World Cup.
Honestly, they should.
Yeah.
And actually, even though it's not really in a part of the world I'd care to go back to, they did an amazing job. Like they really did. I thought logistically, everything was so clean. They were very helpful.
Wow.
I felt safe.
Was it
It was good.
Team USA or USA Soccer who like set up the family?
U.S.
Soccer.
soccer.
yeah,
That's awesome.
soccer.
Yeah. And apparently not every country did that for their families.
Not
So we
every
are very
not every
thankful.
federation does that.
Yeah.
They never
No.
did that for our families.
Okay.
Never.
Not
Oh,
everybody's
geez.
a part of a
You guys
federation,
had
though,
to
Shawn. So,
find
we're
your
not all
own-
Olympic
I don't mean it
gymnasts or
that way.
freaking World Cup soccer players.
No,
Just
but
over here.
Like you had to get your family there, find
yeah,
your housing.
it was like teach their own. You had to find your
Wow.
way, but
It made it so easy, honestly.
they really.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I would not have been able to go without it.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And then you came back from Qatar and did New York like media days for.
Yeah, that was actually a lot of fun. It was pretty much a sprint for like 36 hours. But we got to do some really cool things. Got to be on a lot of different shows. So I got back at like probably midnight to the hotel. And I had a 6:40 Good Morning America. And then a couple interviews that morning and afternoon.
Today show, don't forget.
Good Morning America, the Today Show, ABC News, all that.
So fun.
And then the highlight was probably we got to go to a Broadway show, got to go see The Music Man, and then Hugh Jackman came out, and I'd given him a jersey that, it just said to Hugh, like pretty bland.
To
And,
Hugh.
yeah, to Hugh Walker. I don't have much to say, and but he came out and like mentioned, I was back from the World Cup and got a standing O on Broadway, which was like the coolest thing that's happened. So that was really special. But yeah, good.
You got a standing
Yeah.
ovation on Broadway.
Something I never thought would happen.
Holy
I didn't think I'd ever
smokes,
be
man.
on Broadway like that.
What
Led
song
by
did
Hugh
you sing? They had
Led by
karaoke
Hugh
night or
Jackman.
what?
Yeah, a little special performance for Music Man. No, that was great. And then Tucker got to meet Santa for the first time in New York.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which was amazing at Macy's.
Very classic
Wow.
experience.
Yeah,
That's
he,
about as traditional as it gets right
Yes.
there.
yeah. He wouldn't let us pass him off to Santa, but he was like kind of waving and
Mhm.
a little hesitant. And then 2 days later, when we got back to Nashville, he allowed us to present him to the new Santa in Green Hills. So I think he was a fan of the Green Hills Santa a little bit more.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Or he just warmed up to the idea.
Or he
more
warmed up.
familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now he's like looking at Santa and all the Christmas books and like pointing him out. So
Yeah.
he's growing.
Fast
Don't forget,
friends.
Christmas party tomorrow for Tucker
Oh,
at
at
school.
school.
Yes.
Thank you. You're right.
I completely forgot. Ours was today.
What are we supposed to do for it?
He's just supposed to dress up
Hey.
in festive gear.
Okay, thank you.
We could talk about school logistics later, but that is the reason. That is the reason we got connected to these two. It's been a fun. I guess we've only known you for like 2 or 3 months,
Yeah.
but
Since
been-
parents' night.
parents' night
Yes.
at school, and there's been a lot of trash talking that's happened since. It's pretty even.
It's a lot of backing up on the trash talk.
But it's been fun. But how long did you have to go without seeing Tucker?
A little over a month, I think.
You went
Yeah.
a month without.
Yeah,
seeing
it was a
that guy?
month, full month.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Really
Sadly,
sad.
I've missed a lot of his early days, but I'm hoping that means I'll be around a lot more for his future. So, I was gone for 30 days from him, I think, and then that's happened a couple of times so far, and he's only 18 months. So, I think at his first birthday we calculated, and it was like had missed more than half of his life, like right around half, being on the road. So
I was gonna say, how does the dynamic work with like you being at home watching Tuck, you on the road, and like balancing the dynamics of your career, but also being dad and husband?
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. I'll say, like, I learned pretty early, like, I definitely do miss him when I'm on the road. And so I had to get Sally to install, like, a camera that I could then see from my phone. Because, like, I had teammates who had kids, and they're pulling up their phones and have their kids in the crib, like, saying goodnight. I'm like, I need that. So it was nice. Like, I can always check on him before I go to bed and, like, say goodnight in my own way. Stay connected a little bit. And then we FaceTime him a lot. So I think he kind of only knew me from the phone for a little bit. And then when I came back in person, he's like, but I thought you lived on the phone, kind of thing. So it was actually like really sad.
Yeah.
But now that, we've gotten a lot more time together, he's getting older. It's just been so fun. And I think Sally does a great job, like being able to manage, me being gone and like doing all that alone. So a lot of props to her.
Do you have like a routine or system in place where it's like, all right, Dad's gone for a month. Here's what we're gonna do to connect him with Dad.
Besides saving all the Kardashians.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like we have almost like 2 modes of life, like one where Walker's home and one where he's not. And I've gotten actually pretty comfortable with my routine when Walker's gone. It takes a few days to adjust in and out of both lifestyles.
Yeah.
But I don't know, we kind of have a good gig down. And honestly, Tucker's a really good, easy, chill baby, which I'm very thankful for. And so he makes my solo parenting life a lot easier. And also Walker and I were apart, honestly, just as much before we had Tucker. And so I actually think life is easier and more fun and more fulfilling for me now that I have him, because I have more of a structure and a schedule and a purpose while Walker's gone. Whereas before I was just straight up alone for like weeks at a time. And we've moved a lot. And so it's hard to find those like good older friends that you can just like third wheel with or like go hang out with alone without your husband. So I feel like now that I have a baby, I'm like, oh, I have plans, or we can do play dates, or it's a little easier of a bridge than before. So
I was going to ask about the transitions, because like when Andrew was on the road with football, it was always the transitions that like we would get in the biggest arguments or have like the hardest time like with our relationship. It was either a couple days before you would leave or the couple days that you got back. But it was always like butting heads of lifestyles.
yeah, I feel like it's honestly harder when you come back, because I feel so set in my gig, like even like Tucker's morning routine before school and like how we do things. And Walker would come back and he's just way more relaxed and like, hey, we can like throw the ball right now and play. And I'm like, no, he's in his high chair and we are eating breakfast. Like little things like that, where I find myself getting very like rigid about what works, because it does work when he's gone. And then I kind of have to relax. And then I guess in a way you need to like relearn what the new gig is. Because when he's gone for like a month, like a lot has changed. Like Tucker has opinions now, or like we have to be more strict in certain ways, or whatever it is. So I think it's harder for us when he comes back than it is when you leave. Obviously when you leave, it's just like more sad. And I'm like, oh man, it takes me a day or two to like buck up for what's coming. But in terms of like relationally, I think it's harder when you come back.
Who's more rigid with schedule?
Me.
Really?
For sure.
Same.
I love
Yeah.
structure. I mean, I was a teacher, so I feel like I just know how to run the ship.
Okay.
But maybe it doesn't have to be like that. I don't know. I feel like now that you're in actual off season, we're actually on the same page and it's very chill. But when he's still in season, I'm like, we still need the routine.
This is such an interesting phase that we're sitting down and having this conversation because, like, how long have you been dreaming about playing in the World Cup?
Probably since I was like 4 when I started playing.
Like,
No, I actually didn't know about the World Cup till I was like probably 8. So
like,
I'd say, 20 years.
and now you're a week removed from having played in your first World Cup. It's like,
Yeah.
do you feel like all your life dreams and goals are satisfied?
I don't know. It's like it's a really weird feeling because obviously I want to do it again now that it's over because I'm like, that was so fun. But you kind of have the disappointment of losing and not like making it further or winning the World Cup. And so you're like still bummed that you lost. But then at the same time, on an individual level, you're like, I accomplished this dream that I always had. And like, you're so proud of all the work that you put in, but it's like a weird balance. And then for me, I'm like, I feel like I have a lot of years left. So I'm like, all right, got to start focusing on 2026. And it's just kind of like this ongoing thing. And that's been like a theme kind of the whole career. Like you're never satisfied with what comes. And so for me, it's like, cool, checklist, like check off the list, but you're kind of like, I want more. I want to do it again. So it's weird. I can't truly enjoy it, I don't think. I mean, I hope I can one day, but not until it's over.
Have you guys stopped and like reflected with just you two? Because how long have you guys been together?
11 years.
11 years. So you've been a part of that dreaming for a lot of that process. Have you, since the World Cup, like gone out and been like, hey, wow, this is like kind of stepped away from the madness for a second to appreciate what just happened?
I feel like we need to.
Yeah, it's like not fully, like not to that like extent, but
Yeah.
we have certainly been like, wow, that was really cool. I think the best part was with the U.S. team, like after each game, they let the family stay for like 30 minutes after the game. And so I think after the first game, like, you know, walking back from the locker room, back on the field, it's just the families in the stadium. And you just kind of like have that moment to connect. It's like, wow, like you did it. Like you played in the World Cup. Like that was a really special, I think, moment for us of just like, oh my gosh, like it just happened. Like you accomplished your dream. And I know it's emotional for Sally. Like she loves the walkout when you're doing the national anthem. It's like probably her favorite part of the whole game. So, yeah, I think we had that moment, but probably
You were
not
on
the full
TV for that
reflection.
part too, dude. That was hype, Sally.
I debuted as well
Gee.
at the World Cup. It's really all I ever needed. Yeah.
For the sake of, you know, reflection right now, I'm curious, not to ask an obvious question, but what do you find most enjoyable about that experience?
Probably, I would say probably goes back to like the team and how, you know, obviously we've been a part of many teams over our career, but like this one in particular, there was so much selflessness from the guys who weren't playing. And like, you know, when you're at the World Cup, there's no time for, oh, I'm bummed because I'm not playing or I'm bummed because I'm not starting. It's like everyone else who's on the bench is cheering so hard for guys, even in their positions, because you want to win. Like, so I think that whole sense of team was like really cool to watch and see how everyone like truly believed in that common goal, because that's such a cliche thrown out in sports. In the back of your head, you're like, yeah, but some people like don't really want the best for your teammates. But like in this case, it felt like the team dynamic was amazing. We had such a good time off the field, and that was probably the saddest thing was like when it ended. It's like, man, this team will never be together again.
Yeah.
And it was a really special group.
I don't know how to like phrase the question, but something that Andrew and I went through a lot was, and this is more probably a question for you, Sally. How do you watch Walker play? And oh my gosh, I don't know how to phrase this, but like the thing that I struggled with the most with Andrew was he would set a goal and he'd go to a game or he would make a team and I'd be so proud, but I never wanted to show him that like I was his wife because of, you know, his accomplishments. And how do you balance the dynamic of not making your entire identity within your relationship about your successes of soccer? And how do you support always going for the next thing? Because like you said, your dream was World Cup and you made it and you did it. But now you're already looking at the next one. So how do you support as a wife and be like, you've done enough? Like how do I support you in saying, is it enough? Like, should you throw in the towel? Should you retire? Should you continue? How does that conversation look like between you two?
Yeah, I think the biggest blessing of our relationship is that we met when we were freshmen in college. And so, like, when I fell in love with Walker, his car would stall out every time it reversed out of the spot. And he would have to train kids to take me out on dates. And we were just best friends, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I think the biggest blessing is just that we grew up together, and like the success has come pretty steadily, but also very slowly. And I was with him when he signed his first contract, and we did long distance, you know, like I was just there for all the phases. And I think that helps a lot because he knows that I love him because of just who he is, and like we're best friends, not because of what he does. Because when I met him, like I guess also I didn't understand soccer. So he was already kind of a big deal. And I was like, what? I guess the funniest story I'll just share really quickly is freshman year, he made the All-American soccer team, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know what it's even called. And I remember he told me, and I was so concerned and like honestly upset because I was like, where are you going? Like, what do you mean you made the All-American team?
Like, where do you guys play? Like,
I was like, that's not good. Like, you're leaving. We just started dating. And so clearly, like, that's just my level of knowledge. So I don't know. I think that part of it like makes a difference in terms of just how we manage all of your successes. Like I'm so proud of you, and they mean a lot to me. And I feel like I've sacrificed my whole life for them. But at the same time, like I'm proud no matter what. Like I don't know soccer like that well to where I'm like, ooh, that was a grave mistake. Like, you know? And then in terms of his desires to like always do more and more and more, I'm the opposite. I'm like, you know what? The goal was the World Cup, and you walked out on the field for the World Cup. And that to me was already more than we'd ever asked for or imagined, because our goal, like, or at least my goal for Walker, I know this was never his goal, but the way it was looking a few years ago was like, just be a bench warmer at the World Cup. Like to me, I was like, if your name is just on the roster, that's all we could ever ask for. And then obviously like as his career progressed and you became more of a starter and things like that, that wouldn't have been enough for him. But I don't know. I like to just check things off and be like, that was amazing. Can we just celebrate that and then move on? But at the same time, I kind of have like also grown and adapted into Walker's mindset of like, I understand how once you actually get there, I'm sure you can relate to this, like once you make it to what you thought was your ultimate goal, it's like, then that's not enough. Like more doors open to more. And it's like, you'll never be satisfied, which is kind of a sad reality. Like once you reach the mountaintop, it's like a whole new world opens up. Yeah. And so I think I'm kind of experiencing that with Walker and just seeing like, okay, now he did make it to the World Cup, which we thought would have been it. And then now it's like, there's just more.
It is so interesting to try to support the dream and not have it be like performance based, right? Where like, I think that's kind of what you're, where it's like, hey, this is his dream that you fully support, but it's not about the results. You know, it's not like,
I personally am not a huge result person. I just want Walker to be happy. My whole mindset is like, I want Walker to be happy and feel satisfied with what he's doing. And so obviously that means he needs to be successful, because I know Walker won't be satisfied unless he's successful. But like, I personally am not competitive really. And I personally like don't.
That's not true,
care.
Sally.
You
talk more trash to me when we're playing cornhole. Oh my gosh, dude, she crushes me. Oh my gosh.
That's so funny. But no, I get that. It's a weird dynamic.
It is.
Of like, I want to cheer for you and be so proud of you, but I don't want you to ever feel like I'm going to be disappointed if things don't go well.
We could go down a whole rabbit hole because I feel like it's like deja vu. But how long have you played soccer? Your whole life?
Yeah, since 4.
Are you ever scared of the day when you're done?
Oh yeah. It's like I have a couple things that I think about, and it gets me really sad every time. One is like that last game or the last moment. 2 is like of anything happening to our family. Like I think about my dog dying like all the time. I'm like, dude, it gets me. I'm like, I just look at her eyes. I'm like, I need you to live forever, you know? So like things like that, like have those moments of reflection. But yeah, one of the top things is I can't imagine like what my life looks like without like being the person on the field, like trying to win and like at a professional level. Like it's like the greatest job I could have ever like dreamt up. And I definitely don't want it to end and don't know how I'll be when that time comes.
Do you not want it to end because you love soccer that much, or are you afraid of what you are without soccer?
It's a great question. I think probably more the first. Probably I just love games. Andrew probably knows. Like that's like what makes me tick in a lot of ways. Is like
We've seen you on game night.
yeah, having fun, being
Yeah.
competitive, and so like again, being able to do that like as a job, like I love it so much. I don't know if it's necessarily like soccer as much. Like I don't think I grew up being like the biggest soccer only type person. Like I loved all sports, just competing at anything, and so I'm sure I'll have to find another outlet like when it's done. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty sad.
I always say we're going straight from the last soccer game to therapy.
Yes.
Because also, I mean, we've gotten like for 10 years, in January, we get our schedule for the entire year and we just kind of make it work. And I'm traveling or, it just like dictates our life. And so I just don't know, what do you do when there's just no schedule?
When you can kind of make your
I
own
guess
a little
the
bit.
blessing is having a kid in school. That helps a little
That
bit.
helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going straight to therapy.
All right, I want to hear 3 stories. One, the first time you guys met. Then I want to hear the first date story, and then I want to hear how Walker proposed.
Oh my gosh, I love
Sally.
wow. This
Great stories. Which ones do you want to take?
you can start with how we met, because I feel like that's kind of like a
Okay.
longer, harder story.
Let's take a minute to thank our first sponsor for today's podcast, Athletic Greens.
And with this cold and flu season hitting us so hard already, as you can hear in Andrew's voice, we've been doubling up on the AG1.
We really are. It's been a part of our morning routine for several years now, but we're making sure we hit it once a day at a minimum, adding the vitamin D. All the good stuff is in there.
I don't know how I am the last man standing, and I need to stay that way.
Well, with just 1 scoop of AG1, you get 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to start the day.
That's right. Plus, it costs you less than $3 a day. It's one little habit that you can add to your routine every day that makes a huge difference in your overall health.
And to make it easy for you to try, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase.
All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/EastFam. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/EastFam to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
Let's get back to it.
All right. So at Furman, they have kind of like an orientation week, like all colleges probably do. And one of the first things is a president's picnic, where you go to the president's house. There's like burgers, dogs, whatever. And all the freshmen are there, looking around, trying to see who everyone is. And as soccer players, we had gotten to school a few weeks before that. We had buzzed our heads as like freshman initiation. And so there's a bunch of us just like straight bald headed, like cue balls sitting at the table, And so from Sally's point of view, she saw that table and was like, oh, like there's a bunch of cute guys, but probably couldn't tell the difference between any of
Well,
us.
and they were all wearing the same outfit.
Yeah, same polo. Like, I don't know why we had to wear the same
The
thing.
soccer
like,
warm-up outfit.
Oh,
it was
Oh, I know
so,
the life, dude.
so
Yeah.
lame looking back. Come on. And but from our point of view, like obviously they could wear whatever they want. So I was like, who's that girl in the polka dot dress? Like, I need to know. And so I literally saw her like walk by, and she stood out to me. And I didn't meet her that day because a little bit of a coward in that way. But a couple weeks go by. She had come to the first soccer game, had seen us play a little bit, and I was walking to class, and one of my teammates was walking with her and introduced us. I was like, hey, this is Sally. I'm like, oh, Sally, like, it's so nice to meet you. And she was like, I come to all the soccer games.
I was like, I've been to everything.
And I was like, I appreciate the support. Like something really lame. And so then that was kind of like the initial meeting. But then I would say that the second half to that is I was studying for an econ test probably a little bit after that. So it'd been November of our freshman year. And so we had kind of interacted very briefly a couple of times. But I asked the guy I was studying with, I was like, hey, do you know Sally Tucker? Like, she seems amazing. He's like, oh my gosh, she's one of my best friends. I'm like, perfect. And so he texts her like a winky face, and all of a sudden we pack up our book bags, walk straight to her dorm room, knock on the door, and we open the door, and she like looked up like a deer in headlights and sat down. We started talking for like 2 or 3 hours.
Wow.
And from that day on, we pretty much saw each other, like hung out every day that, when we were on campus at Furman. So kind of just hit it off as best friends for a couple months. And then that leads us to the first date story, which I'll let you take.
Okay. Our first date was on Valentine's Day.
Oh,
Classic.
So cute.
We did a double date actually, and Walker wrote a handwritten card with markers that said like roses are red, violets are blue.
I don't even remember what I said. This is
Something like tonight I have a date with you, or like something like that. And then it was
Yeah.
like
Your
love
secret
your secret
admirer.
admirer.
Oh.
And I was like, oh.
seemed a lot cooler when I was 18.
Walker was pretty cheesy, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Okay, Andrew wrote me poetry.
Yeah.
yeah,
Great. You got to know
That's
your
really
audience.
cute.
100%.
that's really cute. Actually, that was about as big of a poem as I ever got. But anyways, so we went on a double date. We went to a fun restaurant in downtown Greenville, and the chef actually ended up quitting halfway through our meal.
What?
That was pretty
What?
awkward.
Yep.
Yeah.
Walked out.
Walked
It was a
out.
big thing in the
Super
kitchen.
dramatic.
Okay.
What?
And
They had to come back and retake orders for like a simplified menu.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
God.
whatever. It was funny.
Crazy.
And then we went to the top of Paris Mountain, which is a mountain. Clearly.
Called Paris
in
Mountain.
Greenville.
Yeah.
And they had packed hot chocolate for us. We like looked at the stars, I guess. I don't know.
You see Jupiter and Saturn that night too?
Not as clearly as I did in Qatar, but so that was really cute. And then I think like a few nights later we went on our own first date to dinner.
You
and a
remember what movie we saw?
No.
I didn't really like it.
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
The Descendants.
I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah.
George
Yeah.
Clooney.
Okay.
It's like back in the day.
This is still your freshman year though. This is
Freshman
Yeah.
year, yeah. This is
So we started
spring
dating
semester.
like February of freshman year.
Yeah.
wow.
Okay, and then how long after did you propose?
Like 5 years later.
Yeah, 5 years later, because we were long distance for 4, and then when she was getting her master's and like teaching in Greenville.
Yeah. It was
So
Valentine's
February-
Day weekend.
yeah,
So literally like
5 years.
5 years later.
Oh.
He came back on a random Saturday. He got off.
Well, yeah. So I was in preseason with Dallas, and our schedule was still kind of up in the air. And our coach ended up giving us a couple of days off for that weekend. And so I was FaceTiming her in the room, and my roommate intentionally was like, "Oh, I can't believe we're off like, Wednesday and Thursday this week." Like, so then she thought we had off like at a different time rather than that weekend. And so
Nice.
I ended up flying home to Atlanta, driving out with my brother and his wife, and we drove up to Greenville. And I ended up, I FaceTimed you from like kind of outside the restaurant that she was eating at with her sister. Her sister was eating lunch with her, set up obviously. And then in the background, you could see like this Furman flag, like when I FaceTime her. So she was like, answered the phone. She's like, "Wait, are you at Furman?" And like everything was starting to click, and I like walked in the door. And we went on a walk around the lake, Furman Lake, and we sat down at the bench where we became officially boyfriend and girlfriend.
Wow. Super cute.
I'm
Cheesy.
realizing how cheesy all of this sounds
It's really all very
when I play it
cheesy.
back.
What would you say officially? Were you like, will you be my girlfriend? Did you
Yeah,
have,
we were,
Yeah.
like dating, but it wasn't like exclusive. She wanted to go like that summer, and like, we weren't gonna see each other
I
for a
wanted to
few
keep
months.
my options open.
Yeah,
Just
so
for
I was
like a
all
hot
right,
second.
well, this is cool. Yeah, so then we went to the bench, and I proposed there, and we had a great time.
Yeah, it was really cute, but it was during the day at lunch, it's not what I was expecting.
Yeah,
But it was great.
It was the only.
It's
Only thing
also
time
kind of
allowed.
like how our life goes. Like he
Yeah.
got told on a Wednesday he was off for that weekend. So he literally called my roommate, and 2 days later he's proposing,
Yeah. Did you plan
So-
it that quickly? Or had it been like
I think like we probably both knew the next time we saw each other was probably gonna be a proposal, but
okay.
I think as soon as I would have gotten off days, I would have tried to go back to Greenville and surprise her.
So yeah, you planned it in 2
Yeah.
days. But also we knew when our wedding was going to be, like
Prior to
since
getting
we
engaged,
Wow.
basically.
met.
Oh yeah, that's
I literally picked out, I was like, if we get married, I think this was freshman year of college. I
Yeah.
told my sister, we looked at I knew I was going to stay and do my 5th year master's. And so I looked at the calendar for like December of 2016,
Yeah.
I guess. because I knew Walker's only free in December to get married. And New Year's Eve was on a Saturday. And I was like, well, that's it.
New Year's Eve
on Saturday of 2016. And that's
Sure enough.
exactly what happened. But also my dad is the doctor for the Baltimore Ravens, and then Walker plays soccer. So we have like no freedom with our schedules. And so
you guys are
we didn't have any
completely
options.
Surrounded by
Sports
dates.
Yeah. So that was sort of took out a lot of the surprise elements because we knew we were getting married then.
Yeah.
And so then it was just kind of like, you have to just propose.
Yeah,
So
her
my
mom
can start booking
actually
stuff.
her mom actually like I think ended up booking the wedding venue prior to me proposing, but wanted me to propose like first, which would have been like
so she could book more.
Thanksgiving of the year before, and I was like,
oh my gosh,
no, like just trust me, I'm not changing my mind. Like I will be proposing, but I'm not like just book it. Like I promise you.
Yeah.
But it was a weird dynamic. Hi Nash.
Nash is vibing right
I was gonna
now.
say Nash is
I mean, smells bear, I guess.
You weren't kidding when you said you were pretty, scheduled.
Yes, I love a
rigid with
plan.
that. 5 years before you got married, you actually had it on the calendar. Wow.
It's kind of weird, actually. It's actually really creepy if you think about it.
You know what's so
I think
funny?
Andrew decided the night before.
Oh,
He
okay.
was gonna, literally.
So this is I had just gotten signed by the Chiefs. This is my rookie season. I got the ring in July and was gonna wait till after my first season to propose.
It's a really long time to wait.
Yeah, so then I got the ring literally, and I proposed the next day instead.
Yeah.
So it was like,
Oh.
but not planned. It was she was throwing out a pitch at the Cubs game,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and I was like,
We got
I
an-
woke up that
We
morning.
got in an argument because he walked out on the field as I was throwing the first pitch, and I was like, "What are you doing out here?
Yeah.
Like you can't be out here."
Yeah. This
Go.
is
This
my
is
moment.
my first pitch.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, which were you more nervous for, dropping down on one knee or walking out on the World Cup field?
Proposing for sure.
Bro, there's nothing
sure.
like that feeling.
But I would say more than that was the talk with the dad
Yeah.
is more nerve-wracking than the proposal, I think.
How'd it go?
It was great, but Nash, you
Dude.
good?
Good.
No, that was funny because like obviously our situation was so open because of the scheduling stuff that like I had called him before visiting Baltimore, which I did every Christmas, and was like, hey, like would love to talk to you at some point if you have a free afternoon, whatever. So he's at work, he comes home, and we're all waiting around, like me and Sally, her siblings, her mom. Everyone knows like I'm going out to lunch with him to ask like for her hand. And it's just like,
And he was late.
yeah, he was a little
And
late.
so we're all just like trying to make it not weird, but like kind of like,
Wait, you were late or
no,
your
my dad was
Yeah,
late
her dad
to
was
come
late.
pick up Walker.
But we all knew like what was going on. So it was just like, so he's like comes in, he's like, all right, I guess it's time to go talk about the weather, you know? I'm like, all right.
We're like, bye.
Yeah.
Did he make it easy? Was it like
it was good. Yeah, we went to Panera and
Oh,
just
nice.
sat down, had some
Yeah.
lunch, and it was pretty easy, but still nerve-wracking.
So nervous, dude.
Yeah.
I took her to a Preds game. We sat in
That's
silence.
that's a long time.
I know. I didn't know it was a bad.
That is, I mean, hockey games, you're there for 2 hours.
We didn't talk for the first 2.5 periods. In the last 5 minutes, I was like, "Hey, so I'm thinking about I'm thinking about marrying your
That's probably
daughter."
exactly what you said.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, sounds good." And that was it. And it was like, dude, I had the biggest pit. in my
Wow, that's
stomach
pretty
that-
lucky. My dad was like, so you're technically a college dropout.
Yeah.
How are you
So if
gonna
soccer
be
doesn't work out,
providing?
you
yeah,
know.
how are you going to provide for my daughter?
What'd you
So
say?
Walker had to lay out his plan.
Yeah. Laid out the plan.
What's your plan?
It's a foolproof plan. No.
So, yeah.
No, it was, I understand that education is extremely important to your family. It is to me as well. Like I will be, I think at the time I was actually still taking classes. So I'm like, I'm on track to finish and get my degree. I'd look into like broadcasting or coaching, using my degree for that. And that was like the taking care of your daughter part. And the rest was like how I feel and all that. So
Tell this a media trained.
Yeah.
yeah,
For sure.
very,
Trained guy.
very political.
I understand the education is
Yes.
important.
He knew what he was
As soon
supposed
as, soon
to
as
say.
I said that, it was all over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. And then,
My,
go
I
ahead.
was gonna say my mom ruined our surprise because like his was we were not as like scheduled, so my mom and dad were in town. That's when he took him out to the Preds. And the next morning, my mom was like, "So Andrew asked for your hand last night," and I was like, "Mom, you can't tell
Yeah,
me
you're
that."
not supposed to say that.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh my
freaking
gosh.
No such
So
thing
then
as
you
a
knew to
surprise.
expect it. Like,
Yeah, but then it didn't come for like another year. So I was like,
okay, wow.
It worked out though.
You
How,
waited
how long did
so
you
long.
date before?
2.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I don't even know how you guys met. Just give me a 2-second.
His oldest brother's an Olympic cyclist that I met at the Olympics, and he set us up on a blind date.
What?
Wow, you guys
Yeah.
have a lot of Olympians in this family. This is amazing.
You guys are surrounded by every professional.
That's amazing.
no.
Yeah.
That's cool that your brother set you up.
Yeah. Yeah. Fortunately, he was dating someone, but
That is so weird
You know
when
what's
you say
funny,
that
though?
because it's my brother now.
anytime I reflect on our like dating story or like the romance of it, it's not a good look. It's like, oh man, the poem I wrote was not great, and that thing I did was like a little creepy or too much. But it's like,
No,
It's-
but
I
the
guess it's
thought
how it
is so
goes.
That's like
cute.
before, like to get her phone number, I was like, had got it from a friend, obviously, and like was texting her as if like I could see her from outside. Like what is that? You know, that's like straight panic mode. You know?
Yeah, he was like sitting in the room texting me as if he was some random person outside.
It's just so weird.
And he's like,
So funny,
JK,
dude.
it's me.
oh my god.
Terrible.
Yeah, that's
I'm
It's
like,
terrible.
oh, cool. When you're like 18, I guess that's cute.
Yeah.
We were talking about busing with the boys, and Will was asking us how we met, and like literally just annihilated me. He was
Yeah.
like, because one of the things I did was flew out. Our first time meeting was like, she drunk texted me and said,
Pretty
"You want
much
to come to
in the
LA?"
middle of the night, and I was like, "You want to come to LA?" And I fell asleep, and I woke up, and he was there. And I was like,
I skipped class.
No.
I was like, he might murder me.
Anyway,
He might
it
murder
was
me.
wild. So,
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
amazing.
it's embarrassing to look back.
That is
on, but here we
eager
are.
beaver over there.
yeah.
It was our bye week for football. I had literally
Yeah,
one
I mean,
chance,
it's-
so
yeah.
you had to take
And
your
it
shot.
just so
was.
happened to be his birthday,
Yeah,
and I had no idea. And so
When-
he thought it was like a really because I texted him at like 12:30,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, it was on
She's-
my birthday, and like you knew," and I was like, "Nope."
Didn't know.
Didn't
Cool.
know.
Were you happy when you saw him?
no,
Like, and he came out, you're like,
you didn't look happy.
I was
um,
panicked.
I would have been
I was really
panicked.
panicked. I was also getting out of like a 5-year relationship, so
You're like, this is a lot.
this is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you literally hopped on a red eye. So
That's
Which is
really
good.
cute,
Here we
though,
are.
Andrew.
Here we are.
Thank you, Sally. Thank
I think that's really
It's
cute.
very
Appreciate
fitting, like having known you. I'm like, yeah, of course you hopped on the flight.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure,
Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure. Hey, he looked at flights to Qatar for you.
Dude, I
oh my
did.
He's like,
God.
dude, he's
Oh
our
my
bro.
God.
We gotta go. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Just like a short 15
And then you're like, well, it's
flight.
also in the U.S. in 2026, so that might be a little easier.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
No
here.
clue.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about soccer, guys.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
Hey,
mean, me
we'll
neither,
get you
really.
educated. Sally didn't
Not gonna lie,
either
the
yet.
All American thing, I didn't know where you're going with that either. I was
Yeah.
like,
heard of an all-American team?
no.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
got a long
I
way
feel
to
like,
go.
Yeah.
do they not have that for like other sports?
Gymnastics.
No, they do. I never.
You're on
the
made-
All-American?
No, I never made the team for the
They do.
All-American, but thanks for.
I
It's
didn't-
just like an
didn't-
honorary team,
yeah.
apparently.
And I didn't compete in college.
That's right.
So,
Oh, yeah.
Who came
Right.
first,
You would have
Bear or
been on the
Tucker?
All-American team.
Bears are our first.
Wow.
Nash is our first.
Yeah,
Yep.
but they're very close in age.
Yeah.
Bear was only like 6 months old when we had Tucker.
Wow.
Oh,
So ask me how I feel about that.
a puppy
Still-
and a baby.
And no husband around.
Dang.
No.
I tell you, late nights when you're potty training a dog are dang near worse than a baby because
Yes.
you have to take them outside in the freaking
Yes.
snow.
Just talked about that. Wait,
Walker
yes.
actually loved it.
this is actually
No,
so funny.
I said so many choice words because we
You
lived in
liked
an
it?
apartment.
Walker, I've never seen him so joyfully do a rough activity in our entire lives. He loved it. He would hear Bear like barely
What?
whimpering, and he would jump up. And it was during like a big snow here, was her first week. And he would jump up, put on all the snow gear, take her out, loved every second of it.
Wow.
I would meet him at the door with the towel to wipe off her paws.
Yeah. It was something about like she needed you, you know, and you just got to step up and do
But
it.
he's a dog person, like to the max, and I'm not. And I like babies, thankfully. And I feel like that you didn't really ever have to wake up. For
Did
the-
you guys ever argue about the dog?
I never want.
Oh,
I
oh,
never
yeah.
wanted a dog.
Bear, yeah. Bear is very fortunate to still be at our house. She was
She has 9 lives.
her presence was threatened many times,
Oh, man.
Yeah.
but now she's a new beast.
We got her
got her
trained,
trained.
more professionally, and it has changed our lives.
Wait, so you were pregnant though when you got Bear, so you knew
Yeah.
the what was happening. What was the thought?
Did you get Bear or did
No.
Walker get Bear?
Well, I said we're not getting a dog. Well, first of all, the thing was he had to graduate college. I said, for your graduation present, you can get a dog. Because I like needed him to graduate college because that was his deal with my dad. And I was like, come on, you need motivation, you know? And then thankfully, when he graduated, we still lived in LA. So we had no yard, no fence. And I was like, I'm alone way too much. We were apart more than half the year. I was like, I don't want a dog. So until we have a yard and a fence, you know, no dog. Well, then, of course, he spontaneously gets traded to Nashville, buys a house that I haven't seen with a yard and a fence.
Hey,
like
beautiful
ASAP.
house.
Thank you.
Yeah, he did a great job. But I was like, oh no. And then COVID happens and everyone's on dog lists. So we get on a dog list and then we jump that list somehow very fast.
Yeah, we did.
And then honestly, like, I love Bear. I mean, she's super cute.
The timing now is great. That 6-month period of like when Bear was 6 months old and Tucker was a newborn was
and Bear was literally psychotic.
Yeah, she was crazy.
Psychotic. And it was not good.
She's so chill now. That's surprising.
I was like in labor outside trying to get Bear to go potty because she was having like stomach issues.
Probably because you were
in the
labor.
middle of the night.
She knew.
She did know. But like, I mean, I was making her chicken and rice for like 3 months.
The dog.
Anyway, she's fixed now, thankfully, her issues. But it was not great. I told Walker, he was gone one time, and I was like, I'm opening this front door, and I don't care what happens. Unless you find a breeder within, or like a trainer within 24 hours, she's out. And I was dead serious.
We're laughing now, but I'm sure that was a pretty...
And Walker knew I was so serious.
I knew she was serious. I had to save Bear.
Our only disagreements, like since we had Tucker, were about Bear.
Yeah, our biggest fights for sure.
We've
all
never, like, I was never really emotional about anything else, but he would call me and I would just be sobbing about the dog. But I'm like, Tucker and I are fine. But the dog is not fine.
Andrew and I's biggest arguments are over Nash. I'm the psycho dog person. Andrew's not.
I love dogs, but it's like I treat him like a dog.
Right.
You know?
I
love
treat him like better than a human.
Yeah, that's how Walker is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he would side with the dog. Well, he'd be like, I'm sure she just wanted more attention. I'm like, that gets me. That gets me.
Couple Things is sponsored by Levels Health.
Levels is the GOAT, babe.
They really are. We talk about them a lot, but we've been using Levels for over a year, and it has made a world of difference.
Just the other day after lunch, Andrew actually crashed really hard, and we had no idea why until we checked his levels monitor and saw it was a glucose spike.
It really has changed the way we track glucose data, which then in turn changes the way we structure our meals, what we eat, and when. And it's awesome to see the effect it's made on our diet and fitness.
For those of you who don't know what Levels is, Levels helps you see how food affects your health by giving you real-time feedback on your diet using a continuous glucose monitor.
It's amazing. I love it. I'm a big wearables guy, and this is a must-have if you ask me. And if you want to better understand how food affects your health and try a continuous glucose monitor yourself, go to levels.link/EastFam to learn more.
They also have a really well-researched, in-depth blog that we recommend checking out if you're just looking to learn more about topics like metabolic health, longevity, and nutrition.
This has been a fascinating journey for me. I'm excited to hear how your guys' go. We'll link it down below, and let's get back to it.
So the other complicating factor in the timeline is Tuck came early, right?
Yeah, he came at 33 weeks.
Wow. Can you tell us that story?
Yeah. So I guess we had like a super normal pregnancy until, is it the 26th week or 28 when you get that glucose test? Like you're
I like 28.
28 weeks.
Or I don't know.
Rogam.
Well, yeah. Okay. So
28.
the 28-week appointment, they do the blood draw.
Yeah.
I get the Rogam shot because we knew we had different blood types, I guess.
You had the bad one, whatever it's called.
I am O negative. And he's positive because Walker's positive.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we do that test. All's great. Pregnancy was super normal. And then the doctor calls me that week and she's like, did you get your blood drawn before the shot? After, like, something came back super strange. Turns out, since Tucker and I have different blood types, somehow our blood mixed. And usually that doesn't happen unless there's like a super traumatic accident or like injury or something that would cause your blood to mix. And so my body was developing antibodies against Tucker's body, basically. And so for the rest of my pregnancy, we just had to, I guess I was high risk. We had to go to the doctor like once a week and they would measure, they're called titers. It's like the number at which I guess I'm
The
creating
antibodies
antibodies.
are doubling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so honestly though, those never got too bad. Like I don't even know if he came early because our blood mixed. It's just kind of now like something that we have to deal with. But randomly I woke up on a Friday. Walker was in New York for a game and I was just having contractions. But I didn't know really that they were contractions. So I was like, no way. Like I'm 32 weeks at the time. I was like, there's just no way I'm in labor. But at the same time, it was like waves of pain, which I'd heard was what contractions were. I was like, but just in case these are Braxton Hicks, I'm just going to keep going on walks with Bear and drink a ton of water. So I'm walking outside like
In labor.
multiple times a day in like the 98-degree heat in labor. But I'm like, I'm fine. I'm cool. Like, this is okay. It wasn't great, but it was fine. And also I'm like, Walker's in New York, so I'm good.
Yeah.
Like I am really good. And I also had a friend in town, but she ended up leaving that day.
my gosh.
But anyway, Walker plays the game. I took a shower and then I tried going to bed. And I think that's like a bad combo.
Yeah.
Like taking a warm shower and then going to bed. That's like, you do
Like,
not want to relax your body
Encouraging your body
when
even
you're
more.
in labor. Yeah. So then I laid down and I was like, yeah, this is actually, I can't go to sleep. And I remember them saying like, if you can't go to sleep, you're for sure in labor. So I had just downloaded the contractions app. And so I started timing them and it was like, go to the hospital, go to the hospital, go to the hospital. I mean, I think they were like every like 2 to 5 minutes.
Oh my
apart.
gosh.
So I texted Walker and I was like, yo, when you get back, thankfully he was just in New York and they fly back straight after the games. I was like, we need to go to the hospital. And Walker's like, no.
You still waited?
Oh, yeah.
I think I didn't see it though till I landed, right? I don't think I knew
right
prior to
before
takeoff.
you took off. You were like, no, Sally, like I heard you're supposed to get a good night's sleep and eat a big breakfast
'Cause
before you
won't
go
have
to the
any
hospital.
food, you know, like.
And I was like, no. So anyway, he lands.
No.
When he's on his way home, I call the doctor and they're like, yes, you should definitely come in. So at this point, it's like 2:30 or 3 a.m. Walker had just played a full soccer game, flew back from New York, and we're going straight to the hospital.
Wow.
I'm surprised you lasted that long.
Yeah. Well, I also was like, you don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I knew it was happening, but I was in such denial because
Yeah.
I was like 32 weeks at the time. And I was like, no. So we go to the hospital. They're like, yeah, I think I dilated like from a 0 to 1 in 30 minutes while we were there. And they were like, yeah, you're going to have to stay. So then they gave me magnesium, try to like calm my body down all the way to stop everything. And like, they never stopped, but I was very much like, they're like, what's the pain level from a 0 to 10? I'm like, oh, it's a 5. And
You were dying.
I was like, I mean, I think I
Like,
was in decent
I heard
pain.
it hurts really bad, so it's just a 5 right now.
But like,
but
how do you
really
know if
hurts.
you've never done it before?
Yeah.
I'm like, what's a 10?
I hate the pain scale thing.
Yeah, I'm like,
'Cause-
I mean, I guess maybe I have a high pain tolerance because they were like very shocked whenever I was actually. So anyway, I have magnesium. That really hurts, by the way. I don't know if you've ever
Yes.
experienced that, but it's like, I honestly was like, this is terrible. But in the middle of the night, I was like, if I died, right, or if I like had to fight for my life right now, I see how people in comas wouldn't, because I was literally like, so, which is so terrible.
People say like, "Wow, he was really a fighter, Sally."
I
No.
would not have been.
Just
I'm not
see
a
you
fighter.
later.
Because it hurt, like every muscle in your whole body hurts and you're like so limp. I mentally was just not into it.
Oh my god.
So anyways,
If I had
thankfully,
to fight for my life, I'm just done.
I think I would have
I'm
been
good.
done.
Why
I think
people in
I'm
comas wouldn't? I don't think they know.
good. I really remember being like, if I was in a
I don't
coma
think it's a
right
conscious
now,
choice of them
Oh,
saying yes or
man.
no.
I would just have less will. I remember thinking that.
Yeah.
That's how much it like was. It just really hurt, honestly. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I didn't like the magnesium experience. And anyways, so then I like downplayed it so much that they moved me to antepartum, which is basically just like
Yeah.
the waiting room, which is horrible.
Yeah.
I do not recommend antepartum.
Because you're just
Never
sitting
heard
there.
of antepartum.
It's terrible. It's like a holding room, basically, where
Yeah.
like you're not in labor, gonna deliver, but you haven't
You're
given
not
birth.
discharged.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and they only check on you twice a day.
Oh.
And so they would only hook me up to the monitors to
You're like,
see
I
my
regret this
contractions
immediately.
Yes, twice a day. So in the middle of the night, I would call them and be like, I'm in labor. But at the same time, I didn't want them to know because I didn't want to give birth. I was like, I'm not giving birth, but I am
Let's
having
go back to the
contractions.
therapist.
Like
We should have had one there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm definitely having full on contractions though. Anyway, somehow I get them to send me home. after like 3 days. So I think like Friday
You were at the hospital for 3 days.
to Sunday or
Yeah.
Monday. No, till Monday.
Well, we go back.
Yeah, but like till Monday, I was in the hospital. Friday to Monday. Send me home Monday evening. I'm so excited. Walker's parents meet us at home. They're gonna they bring us food. They're gonna take care of the dog.
We're like, we've been in the hospital for like 3 days. Can you guys like come up and help
Yeah.
out? Like, we just gotta kind of recover.
I'm supposed to be on bed rest, like
Yeah.
indefinitely. I asked the doctor, like, okay, so how do I live like this? Like, because I'm in labor. And they're like, yeah, it'll be slightly uncomfortable, but like,
You got a few more weeks to go.
they're like modified bed rest, you know? So, you know, you can do normal activities, but like, take it chill. And I'm like, I mean, I'm in labor, but okay. I was like, okay, cool. That doesn't really make sense to me, but I'll figure it out.
Okay, cool.
And so then anyway, like 3 or 4 hours later, we go to bed and I wake up like 2 hours later and I was like, this is impossible. And I knew Tucker was, so with the blood thing, he was going to come at like 36 weeks anyway, I think.
That's the longest
The
we
longest
could wait.
he would come, or yeah. So it was going to have to be like 3 more weeks of just living in labor. And I was just like, no, this is a little too legit. So we ended up going back like early Tuesday morning, and he came at like
Yeah, but when you got there, you were 4 to 5 centimeters.
4 or 5
crap.
centimeters, and they were like, wow. Usually girls like
Or
at this
screaming
point
from the
are
parking
screaming
lot.
from the parking lot, and I was just like, I'm not giving birth today.
So I was just sitting there like,
we will.
I'm dying.
And we all had to wear masks still because of COVID, and I was just behind my mask like
Dang.
chill.
Oh.
I honestly was like really chill, I have to say. Props to myself. And then he came at, I can't remember, 3:45 or something.
Yeah, middle of the afternoon.
And this is during your season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I
And Walker
I can't complain,
really
but I
ill.
got really sick in the hospital from that 3-day period that
Of
we were
no
there
sleep.
beforehand. So I ended up having pink eye
Oh
and
yeah,
a
yeah.
really bad
What?
cold.
Oh yeah, I turn
really
over.
bad.
You know how they put the peanut between your
Yeah.
legs or whatever? I turn over and I look at Walker and I'm like, you have pink eye. And I'm like, but they can't
As
know
he,
you
like,
have
touches
pink
the
eye.
bottle.
Yeah.
I'm like, they can't know you have pink eye because
Yeah.
you can't have pink eye anywhere. Like pink
Yeah.
eye is like,
Yes.
so every time a nurse
Jeez.
left, Walker had to go to the bathroom and like rinse out his eye. He's like hacking up a lung. I'm like, they can't know you're sick.
You can't get kicked out of this hospital.
You cannot
Yeah.
leave. So it was random. It was a really like bizarre experience. And then Tucker was born and he was in the NICU for 9 days. So we ended up spending like over a week or about a week in the hospital total.
Wow.
And then would have to go back and visit him, which was pretty sad.
Mm.
And then we brought him home. And then 2 days later, Walker left for a month. So it was kind of a wild time. So that's Tucker's birth story.
Now he's the happiest kid I've
He's
ever
so
seen.
chill.
Literally
So
the
happy.
happiest kid I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's always been an angel. So we'll take it. But it was a little stressful there
Dang.
for a minute. But they don't think that the blood thing had anything to do with him coming early. So I don't really know what to say.
The laugh that you gave when you said, well, I'm in labor. It was simultaneously hilarious and a little frightening.
I was
Too.
saying,
It's a little
it's
sick.
like an evil
Yeah.
laugh. Like,
Twisted.
okay.
Oh, man. Are there plans for more kids, you think?
Yeah, hopefully. I will say it does add a little bit of stress based on the last experience, just to be like, I think our biggest prayer is just that the baby has my blood type, which is actually
Yeah.
possible. I think it's rare, but possible.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our hope, would be that the baby would have my blood type and then my body wouldn't be creating antibodies against the baby.
Hold on. So the situation is you have O positive.
Negative.
O
and you
negative.
have O positive, and the baby usually gets.
Positive.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
So you're both O?
I don't know.
I don't know
you
if
are.
I just know I'm positive.
I
I don't know if it's
I
O
don't
or
know if
AB.
O
I'm not sure.
matters, Does it?
Wow.
No, because I think we are the same.
I
But
have no
we
idea.
never. We haven't had that.
It's still,
And-
it's funny that we still don't quite know what Walker's
But
blood
normally
type
it's like it's just never an issue because
The
you get the
Rogam shot
Rogam,
works.
and like they still couldn't really fully figure out why the blood mixed, and so even our doctor and then like our family friends, like they had only seen like it's super rare. Like
Oh, yeah,
she'd only
this is,
seen
like,
one,
a
he'd seen like
negative
3
1% chance that this
ever, and like
happens.
you know that's over 40 years of like practice. You have like
Oof.
4 cases, and you're like,
Wow.
and then so they couldn't figure out why it happened. So that's like the crazy part.
Just unique.
He's here, though.
He's
Tuck's
here,
here.
he's doing great.
Sally's here.
And
Yeah.
it's possible, like, even if our next baby has Walker's blood type, like a positive blood type, you can get like blood transfusions and stuff, I think. I mean, it's
or you just hope that
possible.
the antibodies don't double so quickly, so then they can
Yeah.
make it to a certain point before, you know, there's too many antibodies. Would be the hope.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Couple Things is sponsored by Apollo Neuro.
We recently discovered the Apollo wearable, and it's been awesome. Apollo is a wearable device that actively improves your body's resilience to stress, so you can relax, sleep, focus, recover, and feel better. It's like a wearable hug for your nervous system that actually helps you be a calmer, more mindful version of yourself.
This is pretty amazing. I'm hyped about this. Apollo Neuro's scientifically validated technology helps calm your nerves and clear your mind, melting away stress so you can sleep. I've been using it in the evenings to help me relax, and I've seen such an improvement in my sleep quality.
It's honestly so cool. You can wear it on your wrist, your ankle, or as a clip attached to your clothing, and it works by engaging your sense of touch, delivering silent, soothing vibrations that help you feel safe and in control.
It's amazing. I'm all about this life. And the more you use it, the better it works as it trains your nervous system to rebalance more quickly. Plus, it supports your natural circadian rhythms and helps you become more consistent with your wake up and bedtime every day, which goes a long way to improving your sleep quality.
Babe, science is cool.
And we have good news for you listening. Our listeners get a special discount. You could save up to $50 by going to apolloneuro.com and using code CoupleThings50.
Again, go to apolloneuro.com and use code CoupleThings50. Let's get back to it.
We haven't done this in a long time, but you have to choose who goes first without knowing the question.
Walker goes first.
What's your favorite thing about Sally?
Oh,
Great question. I would say, I think it ties back to what we were talking about earlier and how she kind of like made my dream hers. Is like such a humbling thing for like a spouse to do, is like put all of your kind of goals, and like, you know, she was a teacher, had a job, had like this whole life, and like kind of put that on the back burner to like fully support me. And like, if you ask her dream, it's like for Walker to play in the World Cup, you know, it's like, that's really cool when she can do that, and it means a lot. So yeah, one of the many things.
And Sally, what's your favorite thing about Walker?
I think it's the way that he loves people. He's so generous, and he's really like allowed me to grow a lot in that area of just like hosting, and he loves bringing people together with like game nights and social activities, and he's just always looking for ways to be generous. And I feel like that's something that kind of helps him stand apart and draws people to him, and helps me grow and be a better person.
What is, you've accomplished so many of these, you've continued to. What is the ideal scenario look like for you career wise? What are the goals that you have left?
So for me, probably I would love the chance to play in Europe. Play in the EPL would be probably high up there. I definitely want to play another World Cup. And then in terms of MLS, still chasing an MLS Cup. So I have kind of an Open Cup and Supporters Shield and some individual awards, but that MLS Cup is probably the most elusive one. So I think if I can get that, it kind of like covers all the things you can do in the league. So that's probably the short list.
You made MLS Best 11 for 4 years in a row?
Yeah.
That's freaking high.
Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy. It is such a fine, it's like ambition is a good thing, right? But having that, I guess, approach of gratitude and being content and in like a healthy way, content, and in a healthy way, ambitious is like so hard to do. And I can't imagine being in your position with all that you've accomplished, all that you have from ability standpoint. Like, you're the best at what you do. It's crazy. So I admire the way you're navigating that. And I think, you know, you and Sally represent so many of the wonderful things about marriage, like from a team standpoint, supporting each other. And then I love the story of you guys having grown into this together, and like, you know, things weren't then what they are now, which is, it's pretty cool to think about. But Hugh Jackman said, and I agree with him on this, that you represented your country well in Qatar.
Well, thank you.
And,
thank you for that.
Yeah.
Hey, we were freaking out. Like, that's Walker.
It was really fun to watch the World Cup and have them.
Also, how's your head feel?
Oh, it's
know,
good.
everybody asks that.
It's
So many
conditioned.
headers.
Yeah, it's
His head is really hard.
Yo, bro.
Got a crazy skull.
I was like, Walk, you got freaking legs, dog. You
I
don't have
know.
to use your head all the time.
that's what works, you know?
Oh, you
was
going
impressive.
ham out there, bro. Oh my gosh. Walker Zimmerman headed it out. Zimmerman with the header. I was like, oh my gosh, dude.
It was
Calm
a lot
down.
in
It
that
was-
one span.
It was like
was.
3 in a
It was
row.
so cool.
Gosh, dude.
It's hilarious.
Oh man.
Yeah, I always I'm like, Sal, you don't want to play that rhino game.
No,
with
if you
me,
try to
know?
rhino him, it hurts so bad.
I don't know if
You should try
most
it.
couples just like rhino for fun, but
Is that just like headbutt each other?
you just
Is
like
that-
put your head.
Yeah, like when you're like, my brother and I used to do it growing up, where you would like put your foreheads together and try to like push.
Oh yeah.
Who can
We could
win?
do that.
But his head is so hard. It's not even worth trying, but you should try it.
Was there one moment that stuck out from that whole experience?
I mean, besides giving up PK, that stuck out pretty good. But to go along with that, like the highs and lows, it's such a cool story of like the redemption arc between one game to the next, where you have a game where you have a moment you feel like you let the team down and you just have to respond and you can't dwell on it. And I think like mentality wise, it was an awesome lesson of like, okay, that's in the past. How do I move on? So to then come back the next game, get a shutout against England, a top 10 team in the world with a lot of attacking talent. And then to have that moment against Iran of, coming in and keeping the win, saving the ball off the line a little bit, like going from, 0 to hero within a span of a week on that stage was like pretty crazy roller coaster. And just like I think it's a great lesson for kids and youth of just like staying present in the moment, not letting things that happened in the past affect your future. So there's a lot of really cool stories that came out of, the ups and downs of that whole experience.
Why is do you feel compelled to bring up the PK thing, or what's your relationship with that moment?
Well, I think it's kind of funny because I think if you're not like an avid soccer fan, you probably see it as worse than it was. And I think that's kind of what helped me like deal with it a lot anyways, is like the nature of the play. I don't feel like in that moment what I did was wrong, even though it was a foul. Like the way that the play happened, it was like actually pretty unfortunate. It was really clever from, the opponent to do what he did. And that's like why he's, a great player. So I think knowing deep down, like, I chose to make that decision, made it, I can live with it, probably helped me move on faster. But I think going from like, we felt like we really needed to win that game and we only got a tie, but the fact that we were still able to like get out of the group and like it kind of didn't matter in the scheme of things, I guess. But yeah, it was just like probably the first time I think for us that we had to experience like severe
Hate.
social media like craziness. And like for me, like truthfully, it didn't really bother me too much. You see things like written about you, and I was like, I just want to see what like Andrew and Shawn are up to this weekend on Instagram. But like you can't even sift past like all of the hate and negativity. It was funny because Sally was like, yeah, I hopped on the bus after the game, was trying to delete comments. I'm like, I don't care. Like
I was trying to leave
Everyone-
him for Walker because I had but we've never had that
on
volume
that magnitude of
messages like or comments of hate. And so I was like, oh, cool. There's like 20. That felt like a lot to me. I was trying to delete him for Walker before he saw them. But then I was not prepared for, you can't manage it after that. And then I was getting a ridiculous amount of DMs, and I have a private Instagram. So I felt like that was very personal to like seek me out and let me know how horrible my husband is.
Yeah. But then you see like, it's so weird because then you see everyone just like commenting about like, oh, how he must be feeling. You're like, you have no idea how I'm feeling. Like I've been like trained for this, conditioned for this like my entire life. It's not the first time I made a mistake. It won't be the last. Like my identity is not in that one play. And so I think like it was just so interesting to see like how everyone projects like this is how he must be feeling in this moment. You're like, dude, I'm yeah, it sucks. It's terrible. I hate it. I'm upset about the play. I'm going to move on and I'm going to come back and like help the team. And to be able to do that and have that story, I think it's pretty powerful.
I feel like with that scenario, as even in marriage, it's like it's kind of all about the stories that we tell ourselves or how you define yourself. And it's like whether you're talking about that play or even you playing soccer and what your career afterwards looks like, it's your identity. And as you said, it's not in that play, dude. It's like Walker freaking stared that moment in the face. First of all, the courage to go out there and just confront all of the pressure. And it's like, I know you've been training for it, but like that is a thing. It's like one, that's the Walker, right? That's Walker Zimmerman, is to have the courage to go out there. Two, to bounce back and be like, okay, first of all, you're the most trained defenseman that we have in on the team. So it's like no one else is going to do better than that, right?
Yeah.
Like that is the best. And then it's
Andrew's gonna get on a soapbox.
I'm just saying, no, I think it's an important thing, because when I left football, it's like, man, you can so easily tell yourself this story of like, well, I can't do anything else, or like, man, remember that one play that whatever. My professional career was wildly underperforming, but like, there's so many wonderful stories that you have that you could tell yourself. It's like double down on those, and you have Sally here to like help reinforce that. It's like, I don't know, man. I'm a big fan of yours. We're playing golf tomorrow. Apologies ahead of time for
Shawn.
I freaking
projections.
Yeah,
I don't understand golf either.
Me neither.
Okay.
So you will do well.
I like that's honestly, I love that.
You
This is what I'm saying, dude. Shawn talks trash about me, and then Sally talks trash about me.
It's
crazy.
I'm
crazy.
a Lone Island out here.
Yeah, you're an underdog always. It's just tough. I don't know what to say.
Oh, man.
Makes you better, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I hope that your career in Nashville. I hope you go play in Europe, but I also hope you stay in Nashville for another.
or at least
2
just come
years,
back.
We've enjoyed
back.
getting to know you guys. So this is Sally's first podcast too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me.
this is fun.
Yes.
You're great at it.
Thank
Professional.
you.
I know you're a teacher. Walker said he wanted to be in broadcast, but you might be
Oh,
better.
I'm not
qualified.
as good
Just-
with my words on my feet.
Just like
Great.
call his games.
Oh, that would be interesting.
And there goes the ball.
And he hit it with his head.
Anyway, we're big fans,
Yeah.
and
Thank you guys.
yeah, thank you.
Thank
This was
you.
fun.
Loved it.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Merry Chrysler.